now. Hi, Sheddies. Hang on. Hi, Sheddies. It's me, Eddie Stevens. Did some fucked up shit. So, I'm single. So occasionally I try out dating apps, right? So, you know, they're not very reliable. You know, if you've ever done any dating apps, you know this. People very often don't look the way they present themselves. They're not who they say they are. I just had a hell of an experience. I was chatting with this girl, very attractive, on a dating app. It was Bumble. I don't know if you have that where you live. By the way, I don't know what time it is. Where's my other phone? I have two phones because I'm a drug dealer. It's midnight, my time. And yeah, I met up with this girl. Didn't look exactly how she looked in the pictures. Definitely a bit more, I don't want to say manly, but definitely a bit more muscular. A bigger bone structure. And I was like, because I'm experienced in this kind of thing. Anyway, I go back to her place. That's where I've just been. And she takes her cock out. And I told you, like, talk about being catfished. It was literally half the size as in the photos she sent me, you know? I was like, what the fuck? Man, like, cause what a waste of my, I drove 45 minutes to get here, you know? And I'm a size king, as you know. Anyway, I'll tell you what though, after all that, I was like disappointed in the size, but it turns out I couldn't even handle it. Like when she put it in me, I was like, it looked a lot smaller. Basically, my eyes were bigger than my arsehole. Just kidding, none of that was true. But it is midnight, and I've been very busy doing up to my shenanigans, and it's Rugby Rant to Banter, isn't it? I don't know what episode it is, for fuck's sake. Don't worry, I'll be back in my shed, but I just felt like doing this weird little sordid You thought that it really happened, didn't you? Something happened, okay? But it wasn't that. I was not fucked in the ass, as they say. Jesus Christ. I'm gonna use this. Anyway, it's Rugby Rant about. This is bullshit. You know, I could just edit this. I could just fast it. In fact, I will. It's Rugby Rant to Banter, episode 275. Let's go. Let's get the fuck out of here. Because people don't tell the truth, they're dishonest. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of catfishing. Like one time I got catfished the worst possible way. I see this chick, I'm chatting with her, I think it was on Bumble, right? And everything's going well. I meet up with her. She did look a little manly, but I quite like that. Like to a degree. You know what I mean? She looked fit. She looked athletic. And then I go back to her place, and she takes out her penis, and it was literally half the size of the picture she sent me. Like, do you know what I mean? What are you doing? Completely dishonest. And that's why I'm there. I'm a size king.
Size king.
All right, so sorry about the delay. We're a day late again. I say we, it's partly your fault. Because I was busy with my, as you could see or hear, from my sex and my magic, my sex magic. This is going to be a weird episode because as far as rugby goes, there was Champions Cup rugby, but it's hard to know, it's hard to give two shits about it because I know so little about the foreign teams. When I say foreign, I mean non-English clubs, as it is. But then when they're sending their like second or third team, I don't know if they are or if they're not. I don't know what the barometer is. I don't understand. Like Harlequins, who have been awful, beat the ever-living shit out of I can't remember who it was right now. I got my notes, but and I watched the game and it looked very impressive, but what does it even mean? I don't know. I'll get to that. I'll sort of vaguely go over the results and vaguely go over what I took out of it. And then just because it's coming up and I want this to be longer than, I don't want this podcast to be me talking about dicks, a weird, oh yeah, if you're listening, you won't have seen it. Check out another reason for you to check out my YouTube channel. There was some weird occult shit at the start, and you get to see my bum. Now, the video I made had way more nudity in it, and I really didn't want to have any, but, you know, I got to get more likes, more subscribers. I just realized I'm eating while I podcast, which is a big no-no. I hate it when people do that. I will put these away. Hang on one second. What was I saying? Do you remember? I think I was saying, oh yeah. Oh no, I already said that. Yeah, if you're listening and you don't watch my YouTube channel, you won't know what I meant when I said I've been busy with my sex and my magic. But check that out and you'll know what I'm talking about. In the video on YouTube, you will have seen 3 faces. One of them is the face I want to talk about first because, now this isn't, I'm only mentioning this because I really want to know if this is real or not. Somebody followed me on Instagram and said they'd heard about me from Andy Goode, of all people, on the Rugby pod, which my first thought was, oh, was he talking shit about me? And then my second thought was he really talking about my pod? I can't imagine it, because I have a very small, select, diseased following, you know? Like, this is not... I get a decent number of listens. I get people messaging me quite often, but I don't think it's... I'm very surprised if I'm on Andy Goode's radar. But then Mooney, my nemesis, told me it had been confirmed by somebody else that he had mentioned Rugby Rant Banter. Andy Goode had. Now, it is very possible that the person who messaged me is one of Mooney's minions, and Mooney is lying and making things much worse. But it seems like a really... I mean... If it's fake, I was going to say, it's not really, you know, whilst it would be very cool to be mentioned in any way on the Rugby pod, it's not like life-changing or incredible enough for me to think it's worth, you know, gaslighting, tricking someone with. But is that not the genius of it when people do it? When you're getting tricked, gaslighted, or gaslit, however it's pronounced, that's the way you do it. You make it, well, why would they bother doing this? It's just slightly annoying, but it builds up and builds up. So if anyone has actually heard it and can tell me, because I listened to multiple podcasts till I was like, I can't keep, you know, it's horrible listening to old rugby podcasts, no matter who does them, because it's all from games that are done. You don't care about them anymore. So I listened to like 2 or 3, got sick of that, started reading the transcripts on YouTube, can't find anything. So if you know an episode and could give me a timestamp, that'd be even better, just for my own ego. Or if Andy Goode himself can accept my follow request on whatever social media platform I followed him on once upon a time, he can message me and let me know. If it is a trick, I don't give a shit. It's funny. Well done. Not that great, but okay. So that's all I wanted to say about that. So Champions Cup. As I said earlier, oh my God, I've got so many tabs open on my phone. Give me a second. This is what I need. So Champions Cup results. I want to just look at them to see how the English teams did, with the caveat being it means nothing, really, doesn't it? I mean, at least to me it means nothing, because I don't know the quality of the teams they played against. So the first game on this list I've got was, oh God, I've gone to week 3. What week are we in? We're in week 3. Okay. So Gloucester narrowly lost to Edinburgh by 2 points. I started watching that game. I can't remember anything about it because on bloody Flow Sports, the app I have to use to watch Champions Cup rugby, they took the game, disappeared. Just couldn't find it anymore. So I stopped. No big deal. Anyway, Gloucester lost by 2. To me, you would say that Edinburgh are probably a much better team than Glasgow, right? Than Gloucester. And I believe this was played in Edinburgh. So it looks like, you know, a struggling Gloucester team. The only team, probably the worst team. Are they the bottom of the league? I should have that information here, but I don't. But Gloucester losing to them by 2 points looks like a good result for Gloucester. Bath handily beat Cast, and let me see. I think I do have notes on that, so I'll get back to that. Looks like they fairly comfortably beat them. What does that mean? I don't know how good Cast or Castres, or however you want to say it. As we know, if I mispronounce anything in the slightest way, I'm some kind of insane fucktard whose brain has been melted from living in America for 26 years. Bulls got... What the fuck? Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely be talking about that game. Bristol beat Bulls. I was going to say Bristol beat the shit out of Bulls, but the score shows they only beat them by 12 points, 61-49. Now, I don't think that reflected the game because it was incredible. That was an incredibly insane game. And I don't know that... Well, I'll get into that game later, but that's another good result for England. So far, English clubs, Gloucester narrowly losing is a good result. Bath winning fairly comfortably is a good result. Bristol beating Bulls is a good result. Clermont versus Glasgow, don't care. Leinster versus La Rochelle. Leinster beat La Rochelle by 1 point. That probably is important to a lot of people. I couldn't give a fuck. Sale Sharks against... Are they Natal Sharks? Or is it just Sharks? I don't even know what they're called. That's how little I know about these teams. That was an impressive win by Sale. Another good English result. Leicester beat the ever-living fuck out of Bayonne, 57-14. And then, as I mentioned earlier, Harlequins beat the shit out of Stormers, 61-10. Every single result so far, great for English rugby, at least in terms of, I mean, the scores look good. Then, of course, there was Bordeaux versus Northampton, a game I watched till the end of the first half and then had the result spoiled, so I didn't watch the rest. So I don't really know what happened with that, but it looks like Northampton were beaten fairly comfortably. What I saw in the first half, this is all I'll say about it, is that our Saints scrum was getting dominated, and that was the problem. But maybe they shored it up, I can't remember. And I didn't see the second half. And then Saracens beat Toulouse, 20-14. That looks like an amazing result. I didn't watch that game. I saw highlights. Lots of people have said Dupont didn't play well. I've always said, I say stupid shit, right? Sometimes I say stupid shit. We all do. It's just that you don't record it by yourself in a shed and put it out there for everyone to see. But I've been saying for a long time that, no, I can't remember. It's bloody... Thomas Williams is the best scrum half in the world. And nobody agrees because everyone says Antoine Dupont is. My issue with Dupont is he's injured a lot and I don't get to see him that often. And whenever I've seen him, he has looked very good. But there's something about Thomas Williams that I prefer. Now, I understand that sounds batshit crazy. But after this result, I keep hearing people say Dupont's done. Like, he's terrible. It's just one game. I don't even know why I even mentioned that. Let me get to my notes that I made on the rugby that I did watch. So, Bulls versus Bristol. I'm just going to read through my notes like I like to because I cannot... How long ago was this? It was about 5 days ago. I don't remember that far back. But I'll refresh my memory. So the first thing I wrote was stadium is bloody empty. At home, isn't rugby South African religion? Why wouldn't there be more fans? Somebody tell me. Do they not care? They shouldn't even be in the Champions Cup. It should be a European competition. I don't want them there. I never wanted them there. I've sort of just accepted it now. But if they're going to be in it, do they not enjoy it? Why are there no fans there? Is it not popular? I don't know what's going on. There was hardly anyone there. Next note, Rich Lane is back. Rich Lane, one of the most underrated players in the Premiership, maybe the most underrated back, and I don't know why. Early on, Bristol look amazing. Gabriel Ogre has to be in England contention. Ogre plays amazingly every time I see him play, and he does everything. I mean, later I'm going to be talking about my Six Nations squad. Spoiler alert. I mean, you got to have Cowan Dickey starting probably, but Ogre, for me, is ahead of everybody else. And I would be grooming him, not like that, but I would be grooming him to take over and be our first choice. He's that good. Van Rensburg and Laheath score in first 5 minutes. So much good work, ball in hand from Ogre, Williams, Marmion, and others. Holy shit, a third try, Heward intercept in under 8 minutes. He looked fucking knackered after. He looked like he was going to die. And there's something funny about a very pale man with sunscreen covering his face, like your dad when he went to the beach when you were little. Did your dad do that? Mine didn't. I don't know why I said that. That didn't make any sense. Sounds like something someone would say, though, doesn't it? Let's see. I said here, hope they haven't done the classic early lead that instigates a heroic comeback for the opposition. And then sure enough, in the 13th minute, Bulls score. 2 minutes later, though, Ravuvu is in. Game went crazy. Bulls do come back, but this is sort of how a lot of Bristol games go. So yeah. Now I said earlier, I made a note here that little Harry Randall is going to have a hard time pushing Marmion out of the team because Marmion has been playing really well. Marmion is really bloody good. There's not much difference in terms of quality, if any, between him and little Harry Randall. I think that Harry Randall is preferred just because he's been there so long and he's such an integral part of that squad, and he has great leadership skills. And I think that's why they keep him there. Let's see, what else did I put? Oh yeah, but then little Harry Randall came on and has an amazing start. He comes on with 20 minutes left and immediately puts in a perfect 50-22 box kick. Later, steps everyone, grubber kick, nearly scores. His candle is well and truly lit. I said before, Rafi Quirk was out for ages. Came back and played exceptionally a couple of times. That's all it takes. If you're injured and unavailable, I don't care who you are, I can't consider you for an England place. But you will have credit in the bank. So if, for example, I don't know, Tommy Freeman got injured. That's not I'm not cursing him. I'm not going to say anything. If Tommy Freeman got injured and was out for a couple of months, I'm not considering him for an England spot until I see him play. But if he has one really good game, he's back in for me. I just need to see it happen. You know, unlike new players that I haven't seen, they can have an amazing. If some squad player that I haven't noticed before stands out, I'm like, whoa, he's really good. I'm going to keep my eye on him. I'm not going to start saying he should play for England. But when they're players who have credit in the bank, we know they're really good. I just need to see enough evidence that they're back at their best. Little Harry Randall in this game. And by the way, I said I don't know how good these teams are. I don't know if they're sending out their first team, their second team, their third team. There was a lot of players in this Bulls team that are Springboks. I mean, I got a list here. There was Pollard, LaRue. Was it JP Peterson? Am I insane? Was it just a player whose last name is Peterson and looked like JP Peterson does not play professional rugby anymore, does he? Ignore that. That might be a really stupid comment. Wilco Lowe, Cobus Visa, and then Van der Merwe off the bench. A lot of big names. It can't have been a terrible team, and they were at home, and they looked utter shit. They looked completely. I mean, like I said, that scoreline does not reflect what I saw. I thought Bristol were on another level to them. Let's see. What was I saying though? Yeah, little Harry Randall, I feel like off the back of that is back in the England squad for me. Depending on what's going on with Rafi Quirk, because he got picked up an injury, but he's only missed one game. And if it's just a little ankle thing or something and they rested him for a game, Rafi Quirk is still very much in contention for an England spot. So that's a tricky one. Heward's second try in the 21st minute was as good as it gets. Rich Lane steps to the defender and Heward soars like an upstream salmon, I wrote. That was a good try. 2 minutes later, Heward ruins an amazing attack with a prop going on a run. Mata with an out the back door offload, and then Heward unnecessarily kicked it away. Okay. Do you give a shit? I don't give a shit. I don't know why I decided to mention that. Oh, but he makes up for it on the stroke of half-time by outpacing everyone to score from Marmion's intercept and kick. Oh my God, they've done it again! Marmion tried, 25 minutes. Okay, look, there was a million tries scored after this. It was a crazy game. A really entertaining... By the way, I love games like that. People complain, oh, defence was optional. Good, I like it. It's exciting. Don't get me wrong, the ultimate game of rugby is going to have everything. It's going to have amazing defence, but brilliant brilliant attacking play with it, and you're going to get this perfectly balanced game. But I'd rather watch an insane game with poor defence than a boring 3-3 draw. You know what I'm saying? Sharks versus Sharks. Sale Sharks versus the South African ones. I only watched the highlights after the first half hour. What do my notes say? Oh, George Ford with some glaring weaknesses early on. His physicality and his speed. He got smashed at one point and he looked really, not shaken up because he is tough, but you could see he looked small. And then he got completely outpaced by a back rower. There's no shame in that. Some back rowers are as fast as wingers, but I was thinking about this today. George Ford is an interesting one because people are funny, rugby supporters. There's like flavour of the year, flavour of the month, whatever. Marcus Smith, everyone was nuts about him for a while. Then it was suddenly Finn Smith. And then all of a sudden it was like, actually, George Ford is still the best. And I look at all three of them and I say they all have strengths and weaknesses. With your 10, you want as few weaknesses as possible, right? Finn Smith has the fewest weaknesses. In fact, does he have a real weakness? Maybe his only weakness might be that he doesn't have like Marcus Smith level pace. But Marcus Smith has some weaknesses, and George Ford has the biggest weaknesses in my opinion. He might be he might have the best understanding, of the game. He might read the game better than anyone else. He certainly has the most experience, and I think that's why people like him and people who want him starting for England. That's the reason. He makes good decisions and he executes them well, but he is very slow for an international of any position, and that can be exploited, and he is a little on the small side. Interestingly, I haven't seen his weaknesses really exposed for England. I've seen them exposed more at club level over the decades or however long he's played. But I've said before, and I'm saying it now, and again, spoiler for when I do my Six Nations squad, I have Finn Smith as my first choice, and then probably George Ford. Anyway, moving on. Joe Carpenter looked good again in the little bits that I saw. Moving on, Bordeaux versus Northampton. I just don't know enough about this game, except like the main talking point from this game was, of course, the crowd's reaction to Pollock. Now, I said before, I get why people find him annoying because I'm an England and a Saints fan, right? And I find him annoying. There's something about his face and his floppy hair and his sort of mannerisms. He's annoying. It's easy to dislike him. But then, of course, you kind of see him play, and what he brings to the game with the way he plays outweighs this weird, trivial, sort of surface level, annoying energy that he brings. And you kind of got that from the crowd. I do find it weird that they're so obsessively hating of him. But it may just be a French thing. I don't know. It's just odd that they're so obsessed with him. And then, of course, he scored that incredible try. It was the greatest. I just started screaming, "Shove it up your ass, shove it up your ass." It was great when I watched that live. Then he immediately knocked on a ball afterwards. Anyway, then the scoreline, if Saints had won, it would have been great. I do suspect that with these Bordeaux fans shitting all over Pollock non-stop, I think it's just a fun thing for them. I don't think they hate him. I think they've just decided to boo him like a pantomime villain, and they actually quite like him. That's what I think. Harlequins versus Stormers. Again, it's annoying that. So I have no doubt that the Stormers team they sent was a really bad one, but there was an intensity that Harlequins had, and as bad as Harlequins have been, you would have expected them to still struggle against a shitty Stormers side. But there was amazing performances everywhere. That little boy, I can't understand it. They got a scrum half. I've never, ever seen anyone look younger and more childish physically than him. I'm thinking back to, do you remember Arwell Thomas, if you're older? Arwell Thomas, the Welsh fly half, he was about 10 stone. He was tiny, and he looked about 15. But this kid, I think his name is Friday, he looks 13. And as I said last week, I think, he actually looks more like a transgendered boy. He looks like he used to be a girl. He doesn't look like there's... If I looked at him, I never judge by appearance in rugby. If you're good enough, you're big enough. If you're good enough, you're old enough, etc. If I saw him anywhere in an amateur game, I would be like, Jesus Christ, why are you putting him out there? That's a fucking liability. But he played really well. Really well. I mean, he was one of the better players on the pitch. So there you go. It's a bit weird though. Who was the best player on the pitch? Probably Kenningham from what I saw, but there was a lot of good performances. Luke Northmore played really well. And Alex Dombrandt played really, really well. Now, here's a pet peeve of mine now. With the mitigation that I will admit that these people could be right. Okay? They could very well be right. In fact, they probably are right because everyone seems to think this. But it's a pet peeve of mine when people say he's a really good club player, but he's not good enough at international level. I concede that may be a real phenomenon, but I'm watching Alex Dombrandt play, and he's good at everything. And every time I see him play, he's really good. Every time, consistently. I can't remember. I suspect if you listen back to episodes where Dombrandt was playing for England, there's a good chance I will have had, like, criticisms, like, not... And probably there may well be episodes where I'm saying he shouldn't be in an England squad. So... I might be actually arguing with myself right now, but I just don't think... I mean, when you look at... We've got a lot of good back row options now, but with Tom Willis gone... Well, I'll get into that later with my Six Nations squad. I've said too much. The point is, Dombrandt was great again. Every time he scores a try, I just think if Greg Fisselau did that, there would be a video of it on Instagram by Mooney from Tribe Talking saying, at Eddie Stevens Massive, suck it. Chandler Cunningham South had a mixed game. He made some big mistakes early on, and I actually wrote down, I'm like, is he just done? And then he put in some really good fucking moments. He had a decent game too. Like I said, not quite sure how good the opposition was. Anyway, that's all I have to say. That's really all the rugby I watched was those few games, some highlights. I watched the highlights of the Saracens game, but I just find it hard to give a shit. Do you? It's rough. It's like you don't know how good. There's just too many unknown variables going on in these games. It's hard for me. I didn't even do my fantasy team. I forgot I was in a Champions Cup fantasy league, and I didn't make any changes. So whatever. Anyway, we're at 24 minutes of this little recording, the main part of the pod, the meat of the pod, and I really want to hurry up and finish. Oh fuck, my laptop. Oh, turned off, but it turned back on again. Okay, I want to talk about the Six Nations squad. England with as good a chance as we've had in a long time of winning the Six Nations. I'm not going to say we should win. I'm not going to say... I mean, literally, it's so competitive now. France are probably favourites, but not everybody thinks so. So France could win. Ireland could win. Scotland could win. And England could win. But I think when you look at players, we're right up there. We're probably, in my opinion, I'm very biased. I feel like we might have the best players all around. But I'm just going to do a 36-man squad, Six Nations squad, and then I'm not going to do my starting 23 because I'm going to do a starting 23 YouTube video, and then you have to fucking go to my YouTube channel, you assholes. I'm yelling at the camera, but if you're seeing this, you're already watching this, so I'm sorry. That wasn't for you. It was for this guy listening right now who doesn't give a shit about my YouTube channel. Anyway, props. Loosehead, Ellis Genge and Finn Baxter. I don't think Finn Baxter is injured, but I haven't seen him in a while. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm assuming he's available. Those two are guaranteed starters. Then, I said before, he's a luxury that we can't afford. But I love Bevan Rodd so much, I want him in the squad. I'd be very careful about using him. I don't think I want him against France. But maybe I do. I don't have to explain myself to you. I mean, it'd be a good idea since this is a rugby pod and I'm giving you my opinions, but I'm not going to do it, okay? Now, some narrow misses. Iogan from Saints and Beno Urbano. Either of those could just as easily be in there ahead of Bevan Rodd, and maybe they should be because I'm quite certain they're better scrummagers. But I think that Bevan Rodd's scrummaging isn't as bad as some people think, and he's so fucking good in the loose. And he works so hard. A big fan of him. Tight head, Joe Hayes, who is the most improved, not just the most improved England player over the last couple seasons, it might be one of the most improved England players ever. I mean, I think the general consensus is, for a while, he was in and around the squad, and it was kind of like, well, we don't have a lot of options. I guess he might be okay. And now it's like he can start for England. You feel very confident, very comfortable that he can do a job. Joe Hayes, this is with Will Stewart not being available. Then Asher Opoku-Fajor, I don't think he's injured. I can't remember, but the England, Borthwick really likes him. That's good enough for me. And then I'd probably have Fasogbon in there from Gloucester, even though Gloucester are playing terribly. And he's sort of been in and out. I don't think he's played every game this season. The bits that I've seen of him, he's looked really good. And he has something, right? He's worth persevering with in the squad. Albeit with Joe Hayes and Opoku-Fajor ahead of him, probably. I don't know. It's a bit concerning. We need a big lump at tight head. I'm doing narrow misses for all of these, and the only narrow miss I thought of at tight head was Billy Seller, who I've just got a really good feeling about. I'm not going to touch him with my Shider's touch. He's very young, and every time I see him play, he looks really, really good. But probably one for the future, right? Hooker, as I mentioned earlier, Luke Cowan-Dickie needs to be starting. I mean, he's going to start, I'm sure. And then, as I mentioned again earlier as well, Gabriel Ogre. Like I said, pushing to start ahead of Cowan-Dickie. But I'd have him... Well, I'm not doing my starting 23. Sorry. But, yeah, he would be my second choice. I already said that earlier, didn't I? And then Jamie George has to be in the squad, right? There's those three hookers, because my narrow misses are Theo Dan, who is probably the best ball-carrying hooker. He's one of the best ball carriers, period, in the Premiership. But he's just not consistent enough. He's not a nightmare liability. I think that Borthwick will pick him, and I'll be fine with that. But I just think Cowan-Dickie, Ogre, and George are better options all round. But it's close, so that's why he's a narrow miss. And another one, Tom Dunn. I mean, like, no one talks about... He'll never be in an England squad again, but... I mean, he's like old school, hard hooker, and does all the basics really, really well. It's one of those things where he's not a shiny new toy. He's a beat-up old fucking... I can't think of an analogy, but he's a beat-up... He's like a beat-up old truck that you got, but it's so reliable, and it gets the job done. At lock, Marrow, obviously. Ollie Chesham, obviously. And Alex Coles, obviously. I would want 4 locks because I'm probably not going to have back rowers that can play lock. So I want those 3 plus my favourite, Joe Batley. I just want to see him. I just want to see what he could do for England. He's not trendy. Doesn't really look like much of an athlete, but he's just amazing. So those are my locks. Back row, probably... Oh, did I have any near misses? Oh, yeah, near misses at second row. Arthur Clarke at Gloucester I really like. Unfortunately, he's playing in a bad team, and that hurts his chances. And, of course, Ben Bamber is looking good every week for Sale. Back row, probably where we're most spoiled for choice. Back row, and then probably outside backs as well. But my back row... Guy Pepper, Sam Underhill, Ben Earl, Tom Curry, of course, Henry Pollock, and yeah, no one's going to agree. I don't care. This is my squad. Alex Dombrandt. Now, one more, which might piss you off even more. Well, it probably won't piss you off more than Dombrandt, but it is the biggest call I think I made. And it's going to seem like a classic Eddie Stevens hyperbolics, getting overexcited over one little thing, but it's not, and I'll explain. Oh, I hate saying this, though. You're going to hate it. Alfie Barbery. Okay. Alfie Barbery was an absolute freak when he burst onto the scene playing for Wasps. He was almost unstoppable. He was incredible. A complete physical, as I said, freak. Then he got injured, and he's never been the same. I suspect it wasn't just injury. I think it was also just he was an unknown quantity and a big one. At first, and then teams started like paying more attention and like trying to like marketing him more, but he's still always been a physical threat. And then he's had a couple of games. I'm sorry about my phone. I'm going to respond to this. I've got some work being done at my house. So he's had a couple of really big games, and I've just got this feeling that with the physical talents he has, and by the way, one of the things that impressed me about him is his engine. 2 games I've seen where he was very influential, carried a lot, busy, and did it, if not for the full 80, most of it. Like, he didn't seem to have a fitness problem, which is, of course, everyone's criticism. I think that's because he looks like an unemployed builder. But looks can be deceiving. I think I think it's a good opportunity for Borthwick to grab him while he's got this form, bring him into the England team, hype him up, get England squad at least, and I think you could like galvanize. I think his what's the word? Fuck, I can't think of the word, but his confidence will get a boost, and I think you'll bring out the best in him. It's just a hunch I have, bearing in mind there's a bunch of other back rowers. You know, you could. So my near misses are Ted Hill. My problem with Ted Hill is he just doesn't do enough for me. With the stats that he's had, I've said this before, he's huge and apparently fast as fuck. I feel like he needs to do more with that. Jack Kenningham is a near miss for me because I love Jack Kenningham. He had another amazing performance. I've said I really like Jack Clement. No one's talking about him, but he's a near miss for me. And then, of course, goddamn Greg Fisselau, who I'd be fine with him in the squad, all right? But I don't think any of the players I picked, 100% of you would say Greg Fisselau over Alex Dombrand. I get that. I just think that I'm right and everyone else is wrong. Scrum half, very easy, at least for 2 of them, Alex Mitchell and Ben Spencer. We know they're going to be there. I think Borthwick will pick fucking JVP, but I don't want him. So it's almost neck and neck for me. If Rafi Quirk is not injured and he's playing again next week or this week, I want him there. If he's not playing this coming weekend, that's 2 games out. He was already just coming back. I put little Harry Randall back in because of all the experience he has. So assuming he's uninjured, I want Mitchell, Spencer, and Quirk. And there's no near misses for me. There's no other scrum halves even in the conversation. Obviously, as I said, Jack Van Poortvliet is probably going to be there anyway, but I'm not a big fan of his. And I can't think of anyone else particularly great. I always liked, I can't even remember his name now, but the Quinn scrum half, who doesn't seem to be starting, and they got that transgendered child playing there instead. Centres, Max Ajomo, Ollie Lawrence, Henry Slade, Fraser Dingwall, and then I want Luke Northmore in there. I just think he's underrated and incredible. Some near misses with Oscar Beard, who is physically amazing, Seb Atkinson, and I'm probably forgetting some others, to be honest with you. I'm trying to think right now. There's probably a few others, but I think most people would agree that Ajomo, Lawrence, Dingwall, and Slade should be there. Not a lot of people will agree with Luke Northmore, but that's what I want. I've got to respond to a text. I'm so sorry. 3:45. This is a nightmare. Not now. 3:40. Oh my God, I can't type. Okay. What was I saying? Okay, those are my sentences. I want to hurry up and get this done. Outside backs. So Tom Roebuck and George Furbank are injured, I believe. I can't include them. So, which is good in a way. So I'm almost glad when outside backs get injured because there's so many options. Even with these 2 injuries, I have to leave someone out that I don't want to. So these are the outside backs I would include in the England squad, the Six Nations squad. Tommy Freeman, no-brainer. Feo Oboso, no-brainer. Freddie Stewart, I think it's a no-brainer, but some of you will disagree. And then Joe Carpenter. I love Joe Carpenter. And then, excuse me, make sure I'm not forgetting anyone. Yeah, Henry Arundel. That's enough. So I'm not going to say what my starting my starting 23 would be, but, you know... Oh, I forgot. Wait. Oh, yeah. No, I didn't forget any. Tommy Freeman and Feo Oboso are your starting wingers. I don't mind if they want to put Freeman at 13. And if they do that, I would have Feo Oboso and Arundel on the wings. I'm realizing right now that this is actually, we're kind of short on wingers here because there's only 3 out-and-out wingers. Let me make sure. Freeman, Feo Oboso, Arundel. Yeah. So I might have fucked up here, but I'm sticking to it. And then, of course, if Rafi Quirk's in the squad, he could move there. But so many near misses for me. The main one being Adam Radwan, who, my God, it's only Arundel's... I hate the term X Factor, but there's something about Henry Arundel that makes me not want to leave him out of a squad. But on form, Adam Radwan might be the form English winger in the Premiership. So actually, you know what? No, I can't risk. I might drop... Okay, I've got to drop Northmore. As much as I love him, dropping him from centre, and then I'm bringing Radwan into the squad. Okay, so centres is just Ajomo, Lawrence, Slade, and Dingwall. You don't need 5. What was I thinking? And then my back 3 options are Freeman, Feo Oboso, Carpenter, Stewart, Arundel, and Radwan. Near misses, Elliot Daly. I don't know why I'm leaving him out. I've always been a huge fan of Elliot Daly. Well, not always, but I have been as of recent. But I just feel like now is the time to move on a bit. Noah Kalore, I'm not confident enough in him. Will Muir is great and would do a great job. George Hendy is super exciting, but I don't have enough confidence in him. Ollie Slightholm just hasn't had enough chance after injury to show what he can do again. And there's probably some others. I got to finish it here. Thanks for listening and or watching. Follow me on Instagram at Eddie Stevens Massive. Follow me on Facebook at Eddie Stevens. Follow me on TikTok at Eddie Stevens 0. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Like the videos. Share them. All of that shit. Thank you.